Baptist Children's Home in Alabama just does a phenomenal job. So I wanted you to hear just a little bit about that. Rod's got some good people to introduce to you and a story to tell. Rod, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Barry, and thank y'all so much for having us here tonight. What an honor to be here and to be among friends. I want to introduce some friends of mine to you, but probably the best way to do that is by video. So we're going to watch about a 3-minute video, and then we'll let these ladies tell you more about themselves.
Life before we moved in with ABCH was chaotic. That's literally the word that you could use to define it. We moved a lot. We never stayed in one place more than a couple months, really. I went to 13 elementary schools, so we didn't know what stability was.
I remember not wearing shoes. Like, we never wore shoes.
Yeah. So a lot of times we wouldn't even know where we were sleeping, and we would actually sleep on park benches, stuff like that. We moved from California to Florida, and we stayed with our grandma, and it was a lot on her. So her daughter, which is our aunt, stepped in and was like, we can take them.
Their great aunt and uncle, they wanted to find a family with a mom and a dad and children, so they have an example of what a mom and a dad and how children respond and react with each other.
The director of the children's home then called us and told us about them, showed us some pictures, and told us it would be more of a permanent situation.
They wanted to make sure that we knew that God loved us, you know? They showed us that God loved us by loving us unconditionally. You know, we were their children, and
From day one.
Yeah, we've had 30-something children come through our home through foster care, and we've adopted 10 through the Alabama Baptist Children's Home.
Melissa, Misty, and Mindy, they came to us when they were 6, 9, and 10 and have been with us for 15 years and officially became bussies on February 4th, 2016.
Adoption day was a lot of fun because we were the biggest group that got adopted, and I was also the oldest one the judge ever adopted.
So the judge said he'd been doing this for probably 30, I think he might have said 35 years. He said, I've never had anybody adopt 8 people at one time. He said, y'all definitely have a record for that.
we just made legal what was already true, you know? We just put it in paper.
Most children run through such a difficult time in their past. Helps them to understand what other people go through difficult times are. So I don't think God wastes any of that. I think He used that to give them compassion, and you can see that they really want to help and serve people.
What I'm looking forward to the future is I do plan on becoming a foster parent one day.
You know, all of my dental work went through the people donating to the children's home.
Children's Home sent us to the University of South Alabama, where I have a social work degree that I'm able to help others in the same situation I was in. Multi-generational patterns of abuse, dropping out of high school, drugs, all of that have been rewritten because of the Children's Home. We know how men are supposed to care for us because of our foster dad. We know how we're supposed to carry ourselves as women because of our foster mom. And all of that was possible through the Children's Home. The common denominator was God. My favorite part about being in foster care and the life that we have now is how big our family is. It's gigantic. And so I'll put a picture of it on my desk, and people are like, what are all those people? And I'm like, that's my family. And I'll be like, I'm number 5 of 13. And then it just starts your testimony right there. It's literally a walking testimony.
So we have 2 of the 3 Bussey sisters here with us tonight. Melissa is in class. She
Having
is
a lot less fun than we are.
working on her master's in social work.
Her master's in guidance counseling.
Master's in counseling. So the video does a great job of kind of telling your story, but we know the story continues. Give us an update. What's going on in y'all's lives?
Right now I'm still in school going for elementary education, and I'm also a student leader at my church. So,
I currently work for the University of South Alabama. I'm a telecommunications specialist at the Computer Services Center, and I want to continue my education. South will actually pay for it if I want to continue. I think I want to go for business, but it's kind of up in the air right now.
Now, nationally, the average college graduation rate for children in foster care is between 2 and 10%. At the Children's Home, it's about 70%, and those students will mostly graduate with no student loan debt. What was it like getting through college? Why do you think so many kids in foster care struggle so much?
A big thing for my sisters and I is we didn't want to be a statistic. You know, we were raised in a God-fearing home. You know, they loved us unconditionally, and then once we found out the Children's Home was willing to help us go to school, it wasn't a matter of like if we were going to go to school, it was just a matter of where. Just so happened that we wanted to stay close to family. We went to South, you know, and then I always make this joke. A lot of people, like, because the Children's Home put us through school and we graduated with no debt, a lot of my friends are jealous, and I'm like, well, you know, if you had been a foster kid, you could have been. And so, you know, it's just such a blessing. And Mindy currently being in school, just.
it's a lot of stress that I can see my friends going through, like, what classes am I not going to buy the books for, kind of thing, that I don't have to worry about.
So it's kind of unusual for someone to be adopted as an adult. Were you all 3 adults when you were adopted?
I mean, am
Well,
I an adult? Yes.
why was that important to you?
Well, like I said in the video, we made legal what was already. I mean, we had been their kid. They knew from the beginning that we were going to be their kids until we either aged out of the system or they adopted us. Our biological family wouldn't allow them to adopt us while we were in their care. They were scared that they wouldn't let them like see us like they were able to, which our parents would have never done. But just having the Bussey last name means so much. I know it's just a piece of paper, but it means so much to us as a sibling group and as, you know, 13 of us. We've always been treated as their kids, and so it was all paperwork. You have anything to say?
I don't know.
On the video, you guys mentioned early in life, literally sleeping on park benches, going to school with no shoes. Anything else you want to tell us about what life was like for you before coming to the Busseys?
I was actually blessed enough, I would say blessed.
Yeah.
I was so young, I have no memory.
So she was 6 whenever we came to live with the Busseys, but before then we started living with other family members. And I remember exactly what Melissa was talking about on that video, sleeping on park benches. It was behind a Winn-Dixie. I remember there were 3 park benches, and then my mom slept with one of us, and it was just, we would travel from like a shelter to another shelter to another shelter, and until, you know, we ended up somewhere living on somebody's couch. But actually, because of this and preparing for what I was going to say, I looked up my biological father, and I found his prison records. And so that really just shows me like what all we came through, because, you know, it's easy to forget. It's so easy to forget because our life is great, you know. It's just, whenever people ask me like about my family, I don't even consider my biological family, because my life started when we came to live with the Busseys, and just the amount of love that they gave us, I can't even express how grateful I am that the Children's Home matched us up with them. I mean, it was, I tell a lot of jokes, but what we always said was our biological parents got together and made 3 perfect kids and gave us to the perfect family. So it's just seeing his prison records and seeing, like, we actually got connected with our half-sister, and it's just such a sad, like, realization to think of where we could be. She's a Wiccan. Like, she really believes that she is a witch. I mean, there's no other way around it. She will tell you straight to your face. And which sounds crazy to me, but who knows what I could have ended up like, not knowing, because it wasn't until we came to live with the Bussies that we were even taken to church, that we were even shown God's love through their love. It was chaotic, like the video said.
So the purpose statement of the Baptist Children's Home is to protect, nurture, and restore children and families through Christ-centered services. And you guys have had an incredible experience with the Bussies, and what a tremendous family they've been for you and have become for you. Do you think there was anything about it being centered in Christ that made a difference in the quality of life that you got?
Yes. Since they're Christ-centered, we were placed in a Christ-centered house, which means our life is now Christ-centered because of y'all's service.
Short answer, yes. But yes, absolutely. Because we were foster children, I don't know, somehow you just find other foster children. I don't know. People will be like, oh, well, do you know the Douglases? And I'm like, yeah, I do, actually. They don't even live in Mobile, but I know who they are. You know, it's just we find each other. But seeing how some children who, don't want to call anyone out, but like go through the state's system and seeing how they're treated and the families are treated, as opposed to how like the Children's Home goes out of their way to make sure that our parents had everything that we needed, from shampoo to school supplies to everything. Little things that our parents didn't even have to worry about, just because the Children's Home was there and people were donating to them. God put together this perfect system, and it worked out so perfectly for us. I often get told all the time that, you know, people hope that their kids turn out like us. I mean, so often. I don't know. I think we turned out all right.
I did too, just a little bit.
Well, the Bussey sisters said they would be comfortable if you had any questions from the floor. Anything you want to know about their experience or about foster care?
How old were the other sisters when you went to the Bussies?
How old were we, or the other children that they had?
All of you, the 3 sisters.
Okay. Mindy was 6, I was 9, and Melissa was 10. But before that, we were living with an aunt, so I don't know. We first met the Bussies and moved in 6, 9, and 10.
How many other kids did they have at that time?
At that time, they had Lacey, Betty, and TJ, which are my dad's biological children. So, and they terrorized us just like siblings would.
How did you find each other? So how did the home find you, or how did you connect? Because it sounds like every foster kid would love to be part of the system.
Did you say you want to say?
Yes. I think our aunt Googled a foster care system, and Alabama Baptist Children's Home popped up. And it's actually a pretty funny story how we got with the Bussies. They had 3 kids that left the same day that we came. Right? The same day?
I don't know if it was the same day or not.
Oh, they had 3 open spots randomly, and then we showed up, and they were asked and said yes.
There's this movie coming out about foster care, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Facebook, but they were asking like if they wanted to take in some kids, and they showed them the pictures, And they were like, no, why would you do that? Oh my gosh. Because, they're so stinking cute. That's exactly what happened. We were so stinking cute. No, we were in Florida actually so my biological mom signed over custody to my aunt, which my aunt really didn't give her a choice in the matter. She was taking care of us anyways. And then they had just taken in my grandma, and my aunt had just had a heart attack, and my uncle was battling cancer. And so taking on 3 girls under the age of 10 is just, it's already so much work, even without all the other stuff going on. And they said that they didn't want us to grow up in a grandma-grandpa situation. They wanted us to grow up, like my dad said in the video, in a family with other siblings to see how a family truly is supposed to work, as opposed to what we were taught in the start of our lives. And so our aunt looked into actually Florida foster care first. And she said that at that time, I don't know how it is now, but at that time, it's just nothing she wanted to place us in. And then somehow, I guess she Googled it. She found the Alabama Baptist Children's Home and worked with them to privately place us with the Bussies. And like Mindy said, they had 3 children who had just, their parents had gotten them back. And so they went back to their parents, and then they got us shortly after that.
A couple of great points to make. Most of the children in our foster care are from the state. About 85% of the kids are referred by the state. But we do take private referrals. So 10 to 15% are placed privately by family members. Another great point, in the state of Alabama, the state spends $45 a day for prisoners. If you go out of town and you decide to put your dog in a kennel, that'll cost you between $20 and $25 a day. The state gives foster families $15 a day to take care of foster kids. We don't believe that's quite enough. Now, we don't have any foster parents who are doing foster parenting. Every time it winds up costing them money. They never do it as a business endeavor, but we do supplement that board payment. And we really appreciate our friends at the foundation who help us to maximize our resources so we can take better care of our families and so that we can provide college educations for kids who contract with us and who make the grades, who stay out of debt and who stay out of trouble. And as I mentioned earlier, about 7 out of 10 kids who age out of our foster care program will go on to graduate from college. 2 of the other 3 will either go to trade school or join the military. Our first desire is that every child in our care be introduced to Jesus. We think they need hope, and we think Jesus is the author of hope, and we want them to know Him personally. We want them to understand a God whose steadfast love endures forever and who has pursued them since the moment of their conception. That doesn't always happen. They always hear the gospel. They don't always respond. Our second goal is that they become productive citizens who can have a job, who can have an income, who can contribute to society and not be a drain on society. These sisters are a real good example of how that happens, and we're very, very proud of them and really appreciate you ladies being here tonight. It's not always easy to sit in front of a group of strangers and tell your story, and they've done so with incredible grace. So thank y'all so much for being here.